Hey everybody, Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. Happy start of the week. I've been pretty good. Now, today's story time, it's a good one. I hope you all enjoy it. And I'm going to not waste a lot of time on the intro. I'm just going to get into it. So today's story time all takes place back in freshman year of high school. Now, most of my freshman year, I would say I wasn't the worst student. Now, I didn't do that good, okay? I didn't have the best grades. But in terms of like me behaving myself, I wasn't that bad in my opinion. However, towards the end of the year, I definitely started to slip up a little bit, definitely started to kind of stop caring a little bit. And this is definitely one of those moments where I'm like, damn, I was pretty stupid. So this all starts off as a normal day back in freshman year. Like I said, this was towards the end of the year. So I was getting close to summer and I was definitely like very low motivation when it came to school. I was just like counting the days until summer was here because summer vacation was always just such a fun time. And, that feeling of getting out of school for summer, it's just unbeatable. You all know what I mean. I don't have that anymore because now I'm an unk and I don't go to school. So the days just blend into one another and I'm just like, damn, I miss that feeling. But I was definitely a little bit impatient around this time, definitely a little bit, like unmotivated when it came to school, and I just wanted summer to be here ASAP. So this all starts off as a normal day back then, jumped up out of bed. I was very late. I remember I woke up like 15 minutes before my bus was going to get to my house. So I had to shower in like record time and brush my teeth and get dressed. I didn't have time to eat any breakfast, and I jumped on the bus and went to school. Now, when I went to school, typically I would just sit in the back of the bus, listen to my music, put my headphones on, and just kind of zone out and not do shit. Well, there was a couple people on my bus that I was friends with that I would sometimes talk to, and I had this one friend, and we'll just call him Skylar. Skylar sat right across from me in the back, and he'd usually do the same thing. Usually he'd just listen to music and kind of do his thing. But on this day, I don't know, Skylar was pretty talkative, I guess, because like as soon as he got on the bus, he like tapped me on the shoulder, and he was like, yo, man, what'd you get up to yesterday? And I was like, nah, shit, just played Xbox, kind of just hung out at my house, didn't do a whole lot. He's like, yeah, me too. And then he started talking about some game that was coming out soon, some like solo game. And I didn't know what it was, but it sounded pretty cool based on what he was describing. I wish I remembered what game it was. I just don't. I was never really much of a solo gamer, to be honest. Still not really much of one. I mainly just play multiplayer games. But based on what he was describing, it was pretty cool. And, I humored him. I listened and I, appreciated his enthusiasm for this game. And then from there, we started talking about like multiplayer games, like Call of Duty and shit. We're just talking, kind of, just chopping it up on the bus ride to school. And like randomly out of nowhere, Skylar just goes, dude, I really don't want to go to school today. And I was like, yeah, man, I feel that heavy. Definitely not in the mood. He's like, nah, man, like you don't even understand. Like, I just want to sit at home today and do nothing. And I was like, nah, man, I get it. And then Skylar comes up with a not so brilliant idea. He looks at me and he goes, yo, you trying to just skip? Are you trying to skip today? And at first I was like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, we're almost done for the year. I don't want to get in trouble right before the school year's over. But then, like, the devil on my shoulder was like, well, the school year's almost over. Like, what are they going to do? Like, suspend you into the summertime? Like, dude, what's one day missing going to do? And I wasn't thinking of all the potential things that could go wrong if I did this. Like, if I got caught, they'd call my mom and I'd probably get grounded for like 2 months and get my shit taken away and I'd probably get suspended. And, even though they couldn't suspend me during the summer, I'd still probably come back the next year and be in trouble. So yeah, I don't know. I was pretty dumb for thinking that this was a good idea. But ninth grade me was just like, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, no, I'm down. I'll skip with you. And Skylar's like, bet. Well, when we get to school, we'll just walk away. Like, we'll just get off the bus and walk off campus. I'm like, cool. Sounds good to me. And we get to school. And that's what we did. We turned around. Instead of going through the front doors, we just walked along the side of the building and we walked off the property. Now, I know some people might be like, bro, no one saw you, but a lot of kids showed up at the same time every day at my school, and it was a very big school. So, like, you could pretty much walk on and off the campus without really being noticed. Most people would just assume that you're going back to your car to grab something, or, like, you were going back to your parents' car to grab something, or, like, going to the field to, like, practice before school. No one really thought much if you, like, walked off campus. So, yeah, that's what me and Skylar did. We walked off campus and didn't really think much about it. And immediately we went to a Dunkin' Donuts. There was a Dunkin' Donuts like down the street from my school. So I went there and we got some food, hung out there for a little bit. And after that, we just sat at that Dunkin' Donuts, not really doing a whole lot, just talking for like 30 or 40 minutes. And while we're sitting there, the door swung open and a police officer walked in. And I remember immediately kind of shitting my pants and being like, yo, like if he sees us, like he might say something. Oh no, oh no. And he walks right by us, nods his head at me, says hello, and just goes off to like grab whatever he had to grab. I feel like he probably just didn't give a fuck. He maybe knew we were skipping and just didn't care, or just didn't think we were skipping and thought that maybe our school started later. But yeah, definitely kind of a close call in my opinion. After this, we decided like, okay, if we stay here too long, we might end up getting caught. We should probably keep it moving. So we left the Dunkin' Donuts and we just started walking down this main road in my town. Now this main road, if you follow it long enough, it leads to the mall. So we were like, okay, let's just walk all the way to the mall. And it was a long walk. It was like a 4 or 5 mile walk. So we were walking for quite a while. I can't remember how much time it took to get there, but it was a long time. Like walking at a nice, slow, normal pace, it took a while. But after many, many minutes and probably over like 2 hours, we got there. And upon arriving there, we sat down at the food court. My homie got a coffee, Skylar. Sat down. We were just kicking it there, talking at the food court, not doing a whole lot. The mall was pretty dead because none of the stores were open. The mall where I lived would open its doors at like 7 in the morning every day. And like people would go in there and just like walk before the stores would open. I think they still do that in my area. A lot of the older folks here just like to go there and like get their steps in, get their miles in because it's cold outside and the mall's warm. So pretty much the only place open at the mall was that coffee place that Skylar went to. And we're just sitting there chilling. He's having his coffee. We're watching the older people like walk around, do their exercises. And we're just chilling there. And like while I'm scanning the food court, watching people like exercise, do their thing, I noticed something. Someone, to be specific. It's our morning bus driver. He's sitting at the table, like 2 tables down from us, having coffee, and he sees us. And he gets up and he walks over, and I thought, oh no, this is either going to be like the best interaction ever or the worst interaction ever. Because this bus driver was very quiet. And he sits down next to us and he goes, hey boys. And Skylar goes, oh, hey, like, what are you doing here? He goes, I could ask you the same question. And I was like, oh, we're just like, hanging out. And he goes, are you boys allowed to be here? And before I could even say anything, Skylar just lies to him. And he's like, yeah, we're fine. And the bus driver didn't question it or anything. He just goes, okay, cool. Well, yeah, I come here every day after I drop the kids off. I get coffee, I hang out, and I don't have to do anything until my next bus run, which is like 2 hours from now. I'm like, oh, cool. He's like, yeah, well, have a good one. And he gets up and he goes back to his table. Once again, super close call. I look over at Skylar. He looks at me, and he's like, holy fuck, that was close. I'm like, yeah, bro, let's keep it moving. So we got up from that table. We started walking around the mall, just like aimlessly walking around, kind of just like trying to blend in, like we were there to get our steps in. And we ended up walking around for about an hour or two, just kind of like hanging out there. And at this point, my phone started to ring a lot from my mom. I'm assuming the school called my mom and probably told her that I didn't show up, and she was probably pretty concerned. But I just ignored her calls. And obviously, never do this. Don't do that. Don't skip school and ignore your parents' calls. Don't worry them like that, because my mom was probably freaking out. She probably thought I was in trouble or something. Well, anyway, I ignored her calls, and I just kept walking the mall with my friend. And all of a sudden, I see none other than a mall security guard coming towards me and Skylar. Now, like I said, the mall wasn't really open yet, so I was honestly kind of surprised that the mall security was even there. But he walked up to me and Skylar, and he goes, what are you boys doing here? And this guy was like definitely taking this job pretty seriously. You could tell by like his demeanor and like, the way he carried himself. He took the security job very seriously. So, we had to answer wisely. And I just told him the truth. I was like, oh, we're just walking around, getting our steps in, which was true. We were walking around, getting our steps in. And he goes, yeah, I see a lot of older people doing that here, never teenagers. You guys are teenagers, I assume, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, why aren't you in school? And before I could say anything, Skylar speaks up and says the dumbest thing I've probably ever heard in my life. He goes, there's no school today. It's Saturday. And for some reason, it worked. The security guard goes, oh yeah, I forgot. My bad. And he turns around and he walks away. And I look over at Skylar and he looks at me and he starts dying laughing. And I was like, bro, what? He goes, I can't believe that just worked. Like Skylar was fully fucking with this dude. Like he was trying to troll him and it somehow ended up working in his favor. Like he easily could have made up some like really believable lie. Like, oh, it's, a teacher's meeting day or like, we don't have school today because it's like a school holiday or some shit, right? But he like said it was Saturday. And most people, especially people that work a normal job, like a mall security guard, would usually know what day it is. But for some reason he didn't. And yeah, he just turned around and was like, oh, my bad. So anyway, we both laugh about that for probably about 5 minutes, right? Like we were just like in disbelief that happened. And we kept walking the mall. Now we ended up walking the mall for about, 30 minutes or so more. And then we're like, all right, we should probably get out of here because, it's going to open soon. And we don't want to get, in trouble if there's police here or something. Don't want to get caught skipping. So we decide to walk over to this plaza like, half a mile down the road. And in this plaza, there's a bunch of stores. One of them's a laser tag place, one of them is a grocery store, and one of them is a Best Buy. So we decided to go in the grocery store first, and we end up sitting in this grocery store doing a whole bunch of bullshit for like 2 hours, dude. We got in there, and first we went to the candy aisle and stole a bunch of candy, which I'm not proud of. Don't steal, okay? Do not steal. That's mean. It's wrong. It's illegal. Don't do it under any circumstances. But yeah, me being a stupid fucking kid, I stole a bunch of candy and I ate it. Probably like $5 worth of candy. So, you know, hopefully I don't get arrested for that all these years later. If any police are watching, I'm sorry. But yeah, me and my boy stole a bunch of candy. And then after that, we walked up and down the aisles of this grocery store just doing nothing. Literally just bullshit. Like, we went down the toy aisle at one point and we started throwing like a Nerf football at each other for like 10 minutes. And yeah, we were just on bullshit for like 2 hours, bro. And somehow we didn't get kicked out. The entire 2 hours of us just being troublemakers, stupid kids, we didn't get kicked out. And like, we were some of the only people in the grocery store for like that first couple hours of the day. So pretty interesting that we didn't get kicked out. I don't know. Anyway, after this, we decided to go to Best Buy because at this point, Best Buy was open and I liked Best Buy because they had like game displays where you could like play games and try them out. So yeah, me and Skylar decided to go to Best Buy and we walked in, went to the very back of the store where they kept all like the gaming stuff and they had those game displays and me and Skylar started playing. I forgot what game it was. It was some racing game. I don't know. It was some street racing game. Really fun, really good time. We were playing each other. It was awesome. Well, we get about 30 minutes into doing that, right? We're on this gaming display for like 30 minutes, like doing our thing. And all of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and I see none other than a police officer standing there. And not just any police officer. No, not just any. Our school police officer. Now, usually our school police officer was at our school, not just wandering around random Best Buys in a town like 5 miles away. But for some reason, he was in this Best Buy. And my first reaction wasn't to be like, oh, hey, or like, what's up? I just went, what are you doing here? And he said the same thing my bus driver said. He's like, could I ask you the same question? And I was like, not much. And he goes, yeah, we were looking for you at school today. Guess we found you. And I was like, did you come all the way out here to find us? He goes, no, I had to run an errand really quick, but how funny that, you know, my job just does itself sometimes. I found you here. He's like, come with me. Now, me and Skylar had to get walked out of this Best Buy by a police officer, a school cop, in front of a bunch of customers and employees. They all probably thought we stole something, but we got walked out of there, put in the back of the cop car, and driven back to school. And while we were on this drive back to school, the police officer kept like looking at us in the mirror and like dropping, you know, unk advice on us, which was honestly very good advice. For example, he was like, guys, when I went to school, when I was in high school, I was just like you, okay? I skipped, I did bad things, but if you continue on this path, you'll start failing your classes and then failing years and getting held back while your classmates proceed, and it'll be embarrassing, and you'll regret not paying more attention and making better choices. And me and Skylar kind of just like nodded our heads, and eventually we got to school, we get out of the car, he escorts us into the building, into the principal's office, and he sits us down with the principal. And our principal proceeded to call our parents, get our parents in there, and we all sat down and had a big meeting. And holy shit was this meeting awkward, dude. Like, pretty much just everyone at the table just went around talking about how disappointed they were in me and Skylar, and that, like, we can't hang out anymore because we're bad influences on each other. And honestly, I didn't agree with that. I think other than this one instance, which was us skipping school together, we had really never done anything bad together. Like, yeah, sometimes we'd like, I don't know, be late to class because we were talking in the hallway, but that was kind of the extent of it. I feel like this one instance of us skipping school was pretty rare, and I had friends in high school that were way more like worse influences than Skylar was on me. So I actually argued with my principal about it, because my principal was like the main one saying this, and I was like, I feel like you should know that splitting us up isn't going to fix anything, and also I don't agree with you. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like if you try and split us up and stop us from being friends, it's only going to make our friendship stronger. And on top of that, we've never really been in trouble together other than like this one time. So like, what are you even talking about? And my mom chimed in and was like, stop arguing, Austin. And I was like, no, like that's bullshit. And she's like, Austin, language. And you know, she had a point. My language was immature. I shouldn't have said that. And I dug myself into an even deeper hole because saying that's bullshit to my principal landed me an extra week in detention. So not the smartest, Austin, not the smartest. So anyway, after a very awkward meeting of my principal and Skylar's parents and my parents all just going around the table and being like, you guys are being bad, finally they landed the punishment on us. And the punishment was me and Skylar got suspended out of school for 2 days. And when we got back, we both had a week of after-school detention with the principal, and then I had an extra week after that week with the principal as well because I was talking back in our meeting and using foul language. So after this, me and Skylar left school because we couldn't finish out the day because, we got suspended. I then got home with my parents and proceeded to get all of my shit taken away, which is no surprise there. And my mom made me go up on the roof with her boyfriend at the time and help him redo the roof. So pretty shitty punishment, can't lie. I won't lie to y'all. When I was on that roof, ripping off old shingles and, risking getting stabbed by rusty nails and hating my life, I was like, damn, I really wish I just went to school today. That is nothing compared to this ass. And that leads me to the moral of this story. Don't skip school. Don't make the decisions that I did back then. They weren't very smart, obviously. Don't do that. Don't be like young Luna. That's it. But yeah, man, to this day, I can't believe that I got so unlucky, that we got so unlucky, that the school cop, of all people, had to run a quick errand, and the nearest Best Buy happened to be the one that was where we were, and he caught us there. Karma's a bitch sometimes, I guess. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the story time. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.